Here we are back again. Fox 10 Talk Sports. Robby Baker, Blake Niemann. I'll just address the elephant in the room real quick for everybody watching. Yes, I'm wearing a green tie. The stuff's going through my neck. A big Texas Tech ASU football game coming up tomorrow, 1 o'clock on Fox 10. Because the game is big, they added me to the 4 o'clock news. So I have to, when this ends, I'm running across the atrium to the set to do a first segment hit in the 4 o'clock news on Fox 10. Hence, I had to be more dressed than I normally am because I won't have time to put the tie on after the stream. So I chose it. Well, I shouldn't say I did. My son always helps me pick my tie. I give him a couple options. He points at it. And Liam picked the green tie today. Not great for the green screen. But
it's kind of just desaturated. It's honestly not
well,
even
if I go up a little bit, then Talk Sports goes through my neck a little. But, we're all having fun here. Darla is already on the chat. Shout out, Darla. So, yes, we have a big ASU Texas Tech game to talk about. We will talk a little bit of Cardinals, but they're kind of depressing right now. So let's stick to the Sun Devils because this is the type of game that makes or break a season. And it's kind of weird saying that. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. It's only week. What are we in, 7 of the season?
Week 8, I think.
Week 8? Oh, yeah, because they had the bye week. But, I mean, man, coming off that Utah game where ASU really for the first time in over a year just got smacked in the mouth, how is ASU going to respond? Who is going to be playing quarterback for both teams? Injury stacking up for ASU, injury stacking up for Texas Tech, and whoever wins this game kind of controls their own destiny in a sense in the Big 12. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than this when it comes to Big 12 football at this point of the season.
I don't think you're over-exaggerating it, Robbie. I mean, this is a game. This is going to be the biggest determining factor in the regular season for ASU this season. Texas Tech is undefeated, top 10 in the country right now, the only undefeated team in the Big 12. And questions coming into the week, honestly, and still some questions coming into the game are who's going to be the starting quarterback for both teams. Sam Leavitt is listed as probable for ASU. I expect him to play tomorrow, whereas Texas Tech's quarterback, Baron Morton, the starter throughout this season, he's listed as questionable. He went down with a right leg injury against Kansas in that first half. They had their redshirt freshman backup quarterback come in to finish out that game. But this Texas Tech team has been a wagon. They have seriously,
as the kids say,
they have not been slowed down by virtually any other opponent. The closest opponent that came to slowing them down was Utah, ASU's opponent last week, and they kind of came back within garbage time. They have been rolling. They've got a high-powered offense with tons of weapons. This is a roster before the House v. NCAA case and the rules came down, spent reportedly $28 million on their roster. That's a
lot of money.
That's second to only Texas. So Texas and Texas Tech, as they say, everything's bigger in Texas when it comes to football. And now it's trickling on down to Lubbock. This is a team that's gone absolutely all in. Kenny Dillingham talked about this team is all in when it comes to top to bottom as a football program. That's what ASU is striving for. But, this is going to be a humongous game for a variety of reasons for ASU.
So just to kind of quickly run down some of the injuries that I should say, there are a lot of guys banged up for ASU, but we know for sure a number of key players will be out. Ben Coleman suffered an injury against Utah that is going to force him to miss the rest of the season. That is big for ASU because Ben Coleman, a returning offensive lineman, kind of the heart and soul of that offensive line, if you will. He was the move to center for
and a
most
good
of the
locker room
season.
leader.
Great locker room leader. He's on the Pat Tillman Leadership Council. He was at center for most of the season. They moved him back to guard against Utah to try to change some things up and experiment a little. Then he gets hurt. He didn't get hurt because he got moved, but he got hurt in the game. So he'll be out for the season. Alford, the safety, played against Mississippi State, but other than that, we haven't seen him really at all this year. He's still going to be out for a little bit. Kyson Brown, the running back for ASU, went down against Mississippi State. Came back a little bit, but now he's going to miss an extended period of time again. Kanye Udoh missed a day of practice this week with an illness.
And then linebacker Zyrus Fiaseu will have season-ending surgery as well.
Yeah.
So some significant hits to ASU's roster. And that's kind of the key that Kenny Dillingham was talking about of how everything came together last season so fortunately because a lot of things did go their way. You can play and have Cam Scadaboo, and that plays a lot into it. But at the end of the day, ASU won all of its close games, 5 out of 5, and they avoided lots of injuries. The team stayed virtually healthy for the entire season. I mean, Sam Leavitt missed 1 game. Cam Scadaboo missed 1 game. Jordan Tyson made it through the entire regular season, missed the Big 12 championship and the Peach Bowl. But for the most part, this team last season stayed very healthy. Now you're seeing some core players start to get banged up, and some of them now have been knocked out for the season, which is unfortunate to see. Just, you never like to see guys' seasons come to an end because of injury. That's just an unfortunate situation for them personally. You never want to see a guy season go down like that, but now it's on the young guys to step up. This is Kenny Dillingham has challenged his team physically. He did live tackling mid-season in practice. That is almost unheard of. Like, that never really happens in college football, despite what you think, how these guys get prepared. But like, it's a risk. A guy can get hurt in 11-on-11. These are Power 4 football players against Power 4 football players. Yes, they're on the same team, but they're still going at it. And he's just trying to bring up that intensity again because he knows they need it after their lack of physicality against Utah.
So let us know in the chat how you're feeling right now, Sun Devil fans, as we head towards kickoff tomorrow at Mountain America Stadium, a sold-out Mountain America Stadium, I should say. Fourth straight sellout. So the home field advantage that Kenny Dillingham craves should be in full force tomorrow.
An afternoon kick is going to be beautiful.
It should be beautiful out. And the rain last Saturday, we should be looking at like 70-some degrees. I mean, it's like, it doesn't get much better than that. I wanted to, that you were leading me into my next point there about the live tackling this week. One thing, there's a lot of stuff I think Sun Devil fans appreciate about Kenny Dillingham. As a media member, from the very beginning, I've always loved Kenny's candor and his accountability and just how honest he is giving answers. There's very few times, if any, I can remember off the top of my head that Kenny has given the coach speak answer to literally any question. And this week, after ASU gets kicked in the teeth by a Utah team physically, Kenny goes and says, all right, we got guys banged up. I get it. We're live tackling, which, as you said, is very rare. They practice hard, but they don't usually tackle live tackling is tackling to the ground, full contact practices. And
they normally do what's called thud. They'll do wrap up and things like that.
But to tackle someone to the ground at this point in the season, as you said, it's rare because you're another risk of injury. And also, you got to think guys are coming off of a game where they're still recovering their bodies and they're trying to get ready for the next game. So I say all this because I like the fact that Kenny did that, and Kenny took accountability and said, look, it's a veteran group. Maybe I managed the guys a little too much. Maybe I'm the reason we got a little soft. That's why we're doing the live tackling. And you were at practice. I mean, from what the reports that I saw online and from talking to you, there was some hits. Ghost Rouser was doing what he does, and then there was some jawing, it sounded like. I mean, this is the type of week of practice you want going up against a Texas Tech team that is going to come in very physical. They're big on both lines. They want to throw the first punch. But I like that Kenny Dillingham kind of said, you know what? We don't even have to worry about getting ready for Texas Tech. Let's kind of beat up each other a little bit to kind of get, a little scar tissue and get ready to go here.
Kenny Dillingham's self-accountability is second to none in terms of Power 4 head coaches, in my opinion. And yes, I have a small sample size just, being around Kenny Dillingham every day. But in his Monday press conference, what he said, he had about a minute-long anecdote about how every time that ASU loses, it's him getting out-coached. Even if he had a perfect game plan and it doesn't always look that way, he views it as that way. And he talked about how he's responsible for bringing every single person within the ASU football organization here. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, he says every failure that happens around the ASU football program on and off the field directly falls back on him. Mm-hmm. So he says, don't point fingers at the players. It's like, he said it word for word. Everybody is here because of me in some way, shape, or form. And so therefore he takes all the blame. And that's just immense level of maturity. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know coaches that I've seen way older than Kenny Dillingham that still don't have that amount of accountability and won't take that self-accountability on themselves. And Kenny Dillingham's in his mid-30s right now, one of the youngest coaches in college football. And to have that maturity is just really impressive. But getting back to your point on the tackling, yeah, I mean, it brought some energy to practice for sure. It got the energy flowing again and got guys going. And I think it's going to carry over into this weekend's game. This team is banged up, but they're fired up, especially coming off a loss. I think they're trying to redeem that back at home, a place they've won 9 straight games.
Sam Levitt has never lost at Mountain America Stadium.
Wow, that is an impressive stat. Knock on wood.
Think about it, because the 9 straight.
That's true.
They didn't lose, so knock on wood.
That's true. Yeah, they haven't lost at Mountain America Stadium since the brutal Territorial Cup in Kenny Dillingham's first season.
And I think that was Trettenborg. Was that Trettenborg game?
So that was the game that Jaden Rashada showed up late and then got benched for the first half.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Trent Morgan
yeah.
started for the first half.
It was
crazy times.
A different time of Sun Devil football. A different time.
But kind of relaying back to that first season is that loss at Utah last week. ASU's loss at Utah last week was ASU's worst loss since Kenny Dillingham's first season.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so it's like this was a huge wake-up call for them of like, okay, this wasn't just a loss. Like this was kind of got beat down.
This was a loss with a capital L.
Yes. It was not pretty. And so now it's like eyes are open. They got beat the brakes off of them. And Kenny Dillingham admitted it. Like, they got out-coached, outplayed, out-physicaled, and they've got to really correct things, especially defensively. Like, the defense was the most surprising thing to me.
It's just tackling.
Just the lack of tackling and aggressiveness on that side of the ball. When this defense had 3 turnovers in each of the previous 2 games, that was kind of shocking to me, especially with the way Brian Ward has set the standard in that room and, been a really solid defensive coordinator at ASU. I was just really surprised. So I know he's eager to get a bounce back for his team. And, just at home, it's just different. You got the sound on your side. And Kenny Dillingham was saying TCU's coaching staff said that, that was a legit home atmosphere that created an advantage. Like, TCU had struggles with false starts and communicating. And, Josh Hoover played probably the worst game of his season against ASU. So Mount America Stadium has become a legit home atmosphere.
Oh, it definitely has. And it's kind of like the adage in the playoffs in basketball. Role players play better at home, and you see guys like Josh Hart, or when the Suns made their runs, like a campaign, those guys, they have like a crazy 25, 30-point game in a home playoff game.
They just
the
feed
crowd
off
gets behind you and stuff. So I could definitely see the defense tomorrow rallying behind that. And yeah, to your point, is before we go to break here, and we got about a minute, just it was very weird to see ASU's defense get kind of walked over like they did against Utah, because we haven't seen that since Kenny Dillingham's first or second year, where basically none of these guys were here. This is a different team than Kenny's first year. And I almost wonder, this is purely me speculating, but if there is a certain point in that Utah game where they did not lose that game because of Jeff Sims, but it was a different offense than they faced, the triple option with Devin Dampier. At a certain point, the defense maybe feels a little tight because they feel like they can't make a mistake because they don't have Sam Levitt, and then mistakes happen. But they should, hopefully, we think, have Sam Levitt back this Saturday, tomorrow.
I expect him to. I expect them. Wasn't practicing with any tape around his ankle on Wednesday. He seems good to go.
We're going to dive in. We are back here, Fox 10, Talk Sports Pregame. Robby Baker, Blake Niemann. Talking some ASU football right now. If you're on YouTube with us, hop on the chat. Give us a shout out. We'll shout you out. We love shout outs here. We like to have a good time. Fox 10 Talk Sports Pregame on a Friday. Blake, before we get to Cardinals, the Cardinals have their own quarterback situation right now. We'll talk about that. But it's worth mentioning the Sam Leavitt news this week is not as crazy, I guess, if you will, as this time last week, because this time last week it was like, it felt like the Community Donald Glover walking in with pizza and you open the door and the whole room was on fire, because this time last week the whole internet was exploding that Sam Leavitt was doubtful and how did this happen and all the crazy theories of how he got hurt. This week he's practicing. You were at practice. You couldn't film his feet, then you could film his feet, then you could take pictures of his feet, a lot of stuff about his feet. The internet will do whatever it does with that. It seems like Sam Leavitt is going to play. All roads seem to, we don't know for sure because they just list him as probable, but all directions seem to be pointing us, and Sam Leavitt will be the starting quarterback for Arizona State tomorrow, barring something unforeseen happening. Is that fair to say?
I have a very strong indication that Sam Leavitt is going to be playing tomorrow for Arizona State against Texas Tech. He practiced on Tuesday, took the majority of team reps and the majority of individual drill reps at the quarterback one position. Then on Wednesday, he took the tape off of his foot, which was surprising to me, even in that fact. Like, I could expect him to play this weekend and have him still had tape on his foot on Wednesday. But he took that off, kind of made a statement that, like, look, I'm ready to go. He was moving around the pocket more. Kenny Dillingham said on Tuesday that he wasn't moving around the pocket as much the previous week, but now he's moving more around and outside of the pocket, which is going to help him with that mobility, because we know Sam Leavitt with his legs is really key to a lot of the wins that ASU has had and the way they've been able to rally back. But he's looked more healthy, looked more like himself. He's been throwing the ball cleanly, been able to put more pressure on that back foot. That's kind of the deal with the foot, is like it's his back right throwing foot. So when you're trying to put pressure on there, you got to plant then throw. So he's been able to put more pressure on that, unload more juice and velocity out of that arm. So I would be stunned, so stunned, if Sam does not play tomorrow.
And again, we don't know exactly what the injury is. We don't necessarily know, people like to throw out, well, is he 60%? Is he 80%? I don't know. If he's healthy enough to play, he'll play. But Sam Leavitt playing for ASU, no matter what percentage of health he is just such an emotional boost for this team. And that is no knock at all on Jeff Sims. He talked again this week. We talked to him at Camp T. Jeff Sims, a great guy. And the fact that he stayed here to be a backup quarterback, when he said he had offers, he could have gone other places and transferred again to potentially start and try to work his way to the NFL, and he stayed here to help Sam. That speaks what it does about Jeff Sims. But just the emotional lift of having Sam Leavitt on the field, it's something that, to me, I feel like it's a rising tide lifts all boats, and he's the emotional leader. Just seeing him run out of the tunnel, the stadium's going to be going crazy. I mean, it should be big time for ASU if Sam Leavitt does give it a go tomorrow. On the other side, we don't know. Texas Tech quarterback, as you alluded to earlier, their starter got hurt against Kansas. Their backup, though, is very good. He may be a freshman, but he played against Utah, and if you watch the Utah-Texas Tech game, Texas Tech pulled away, ended up winning by 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That's when the backup quarterback played. Kansas made a little bit of a comeback right before halftime against Tech. Starter got hurt, backup comes in, he's a freshman. Texas Tech pulls away, wins by multiple touchdowns in the second half. So this is not we got a freshman backup quarterback coming in. This is the freshman backup quarterback for Texas Tech probably could be the starter. Like, this kid is a legit talent.
And this is the thing with Texas Tech, is like their team isn't as much quarterback centric. Like
how much did they running back rushed for like 586 yards last week?
Their
I'm being
run game,
hyperbolic, but
their run game is lethal. They can run the ball, they can stop the run, and they have controlled time of possession significantly throughout the season. And they force turnovers. Those are all the main formula ingredients to winning football games, and it's shown so far. They're undefeated on the season, only undefeated team in the Big 12 right now. And that's the thing. It's like, like you were saying, I don't think it really, whoever plays at quarterback, I don't think that's going to take down whoever, it's not going to reduce their chances of success that much more.
What you're getting at is if they announce it's the freshman starting, the spread in Vegas isn't going to go from 10.5 to 6.5. I mean, this is still,
those two quarterbacks are a little, much more evenly comparison than say a Sam Levitt and a Jeff Sims.
No,
like it's not going to as drastically change them, and they've got so much talent around them, and like their run game is so good. Like it's
going to be up to ASU's. ASU wins this game if the defensive line plays like the defensive line we saw against Baylor for most of the game, especially the second half against TCU. If that defensive line shows up where Clayton Smith's getting in the backfield, CJ Fight's controlling the line of scrimmage, Watley's coming off the... I mean, if those guys get going, and like we said, in a hometown environment, a home field advantage situation, if those guys can feed off that energy and get the crowd going early, that's really to me, that's ASU's pathway to win this game. Because, like you said, this is not just, okay, Texas Tech hasn't played anybody, they're ranked 7, the national narrative of it's the Big 12. No, like, this is a legitimate Texas. Like, if ASU wins this game, we kind of, I don't know if you were back there, we were joking about it a couple days ago. Like, does ASU storm the field if Texas Tech win, if they beat? Like, yes. If ASU wins this game, this is to me, if ASU knocks off Texas Tech, that's bigger than Utah last year. That's a bigger win than BYU. This may be, other than the bowl, the championship, this would be the biggest regular season win for Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah, just thinking back to that BYU game last year, you think about the implications of that game. Big 12 championship, ASU still needed some help from some of the other opponents, and it was just like a magical run. It was toward the end of the season. BYU only had 1 loss at that point, and it's like a similar situation here because ASU does have some tough opponents after this. They have Houston at Iowa State, but really, this is the last biggie on the schedule, per se. Like, there's still U of A, who's had a decent season, and then, Colorado, who's been up and down. But at the end of the day, this is really the big defining game that when it comes down to those tiebreaker scenarios at the end of the year, if ASU ends up being the only team that's beaten Texas Tech, that could be huge in their chances of getting a ticket to the Big 12 championship, especially a win against Texas Tech, I think, opens the door to allow ASU to potentially afford another loss after this.
Well, I mean, they got there with 2 losses last year.
Right.
They got to the championship.
Remember, they have 1 conference loss, and that's what is important when it comes to conference championship scenarios. So if they have the win over Texas Tech, when it comes down to tiebreakers, I think that's going to help them.
That would be huge. Well, let's do predictions real quick, and then we'll jump into Cardinals real fast. I'm just going to be totally honest with the viewers at home. I'm totally picking with my heart here. I'm not even going to try to qualify this. ASU's going to win this game. I'm going to say 28-24. I think just because I'm willing it into the universe. I want to see this happen. We're all going to be there. Me, you, and Brad are going to be there. Game is on Fox 10. We got coverage coming on after the game. I want to feel the vibe. It's like Cool Runnings. Feel the rhythm. Feel the vibes. Like, let's make this happen. I like ASU 28-24. And like I said, I'm just going with my heart here.
Man, I've been kind of mulling over this all week just because it's so tough, and like I'm not one to usually, like, the way ASU's played over the past 2 seasons, especially at home. Until they lose at home, I'm not going to pick against them at home. So
do it, Blake.
I foresee this being a shootout. I think it's going to be more high scoring. I don't think either defense is going to be able to easily stop one another, especially with Sam Levitt back. I foresee this as 34-31 ASU, Jesus Gomez game-winning field goal.
Please do not take offense to this. I really thought you were going to take Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Because that is probably the correct thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, until ASU loses at home, I'm not going to pick against them at home.
Hey,
they've won their last 9 straight. Something different about playing at home. And look, you go undefeated for so long, teams collapse at some points. Look at Oregon in the Rose Bowl against Ohio State last year. Look at Oregon this past weekend against Indiana.
Yeah.
Just look at, Texas at the start of the season, they weren't undefeated, obviously, but like losing to Ohio State, like teams, they lose. It happens.
Now, and there is a big. I think the other thing that you kind of hope if you're a Sun Devil fan in this is Texas Tech. These are obviously college kids. They're riding high right now. Talk of the town. Maybe do they drink the Kool-Aid a little bit coming into this one? They think, oh, maybe ASU's a little banged up. They're coming off. I mean, you don't know. Obviously, they're going to be ready. But
I mean, it just
the parity in college football is much different than the NFL.
Yeah,
upsets happen all the time.
And especially if their starter is not playing on the road, like I said, it's not going to be too much of a difference, but still, it makes somewhat of a difference. Mm-hmm. And I just think that ASU's fan base is going to rally around them. They're going to bounce back, find a way to get it out.
Well, real quick, we only got about 2 minutes for Cardinals here, but the big story this week is, as Dave laughed, as I mentioned, the Cardinals, our producer back there. It's probably going to be Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. I mean, we don't know for sure. Kyler Murray practiced this week. Again, did not meet with the media. It was Jacoby Brissett today meeting with the media after practice. Typically, it's the starting quarterback that speaks with the media before a game. So if you were going to connect tea leaves, that would mean it would probably be Jacoby Brissett. I don't think that's a bad thing. Is that fair to say? And I'm not saying that he should be the starter over Kyler and there's a quarterback controversy, but if Kyler's not 100% and you're going up against Micah Parsons, Jacoby Brissett looked pretty good last week against the Colts, and then you get into the bye week and you see what happens.
I think Jacoby Brissett had 400 total yards of offense against the Colts?
They had 7 pass plays of 20 yards or more against the Colts, and they had 7 plays of 20 yards or more pass plays the entire season leading into the Colts game.
I mean, look,
so do with that what you
Jacoby Brissett is a veteran quarterback in the National Football League. This is a guy who has been around the block. I mean, I think he started 3 years for the Colts for, back in the late 2010s. And
he did. He came in when Andrew Luck retired.
Yeah. So, he filled that void. This is a guy who's played a lot of football in his career. If you're looking for a backup, this is I was excited when the Cardinals went out and got Jacoby Brissett this offseason for this kind of situation. If you have to fall back to a backup,
you're good with him starting 2 to 3 games and feeling like you can win those games.
Jacoby Brissett can get you through the way, and I think it's not a horrible situation. Kyler Murray can do things Jacoby Brissett can simply not do.
That is fair.
He's got this Houdini aspect to him to where he can scramble out of situations, throw on the run, and things like that. Kyler Murray also has his flaws, for sure. We are aware. But, I think Jacoby Brissett, like you said, especially if Kyler's not 100% and then Micah Parsons gets to him, it's do you really want to take that chance? I think at home, Jacoby Brissett, try and get a bounce back. I think it's a decent situation.
Yeah, shout out my dad on the chat and our dog Otis watching as well. Quickly, we don't have to give scores, but if I pick the last game with my heart, I'll be a realist on this one. Packers over the Cardinals.
I think the Packers is the best team in the NFC. I've said that on the NFC West Huddle a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I still believe it. You can say what you want about the Lions. I'm sticking with the Packers. I think they have a chance to do it all.
There you go. Go Pack Go, says Blake. I put words in his mouth.